News.
Hello everybody. Welcome to the Sauropod Studio Thursday stream. My name is Chateaujaune, and I'm happy to host today's stream. Hello Kinderbug. Hello Jim. Hello Peter Plays Bacon Pancakes. Hello, who's on YouTube? Hello Bro Gamer, Snake Singe. Hello Curiously, GG, Red Moon, Radish, Haker. Hello Skinner. Hello Ladoozy. Hello, who else did I miss? I don't think I missed anybody. Hello everybody that's watching that is not in the chat as well. It is very nice to have all of you here. You love this soundtrack. Thank you. That's the Castle Story soundtrack. You can get it on Steam, by the way. Hello Cyan. How's it going? If you go to castlestory.net/OST, you can get the soundtrack from there. Today, okay, so for the past month and a half or so, we've been working on something pretty big for Mirador. We started early? No, we did. 5 minutes earlier. We're working on something pretty big for Mirador, which is why I've been super busy and I've been having a hard time keeping up with the weekly stream. But it'll be worth it because next weekend, probably, not like this weekend, but the one after, so the end of March, we're going to be posting something about Mirador that's pretty major. It's probably going to answer like most of the questions you have about Mirador. It's going to be a YouTube video about Mirador, and it's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be a lot more than a sneak peek. It's going to be like a Mirador peek. It's not going to be a sneak peek. It's going to be like, this is what Mirador is. It's it's going to be pretty awesome. If you want to make sure you don't miss that, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sauropod Studio on YouTube. The link is right here. So youtube.com/Sauropod Studio. Go there, subscribe, turn on notifications. We don't spam our YouTube channel. Like, we really only post pretty nice videos. You know, we don't post like a video every day. We only post videos when we have something interesting to say. It's not going to be a trailer. It's going to be kind of like a gameplay reveal of Mirador. Sort of, I don't want to say demo video because it won't really be a demo video. It's going to be more of an explanation of what Mirador is with some gameplay footage of all the aspects of Mirador. So it's going to be pretty awesome. But no, it's not going to be a trailer. And like all of the art in the game is well, not all of it, but a lot of it is still a work in progress, and that's going to be reflected in the video. So in the video, you're going to see some development textures and whatnot. But it'll still give you a pretty great idea of the mood and of what Mirador is going to feel like and what Mirador is going to be about, which is going to be pretty nice. It won't be a trailer. Like I said, it's not going to have the usual trailer format where like there's music playing and then there's just footage going on. It's going to be more of like a development vlog kind of thing where we're talking about Mirador. We're like, so Mirador is a game where you're going to do this, and then there's footage playing in the background and music. Anyways, it's going to be pretty awesome. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You turn on notifications by clicking the little bell. That way you'll be sure not to miss it. And of course, make sure you join the official Mirador Discord. The link is right there. We'll be, of course, posting it on the Discord as well. Every time I see Mirador, I pronounce it in my mind as if it were a Spanish word. I think there's that word in Spanish too. You should make a dinosaur hero in Mirador because you're Sauropod Studio. Do Sauropod Studio ever get an interview? What do you mean? Do we ever get an interview? I love the look of Mirador's textures. Thank you, Skinner. I love our art style too. Our artists are really good. Hi, Shadow Master. Hello, Glissalmus. How's it going? So today, the stream is only going to be 1 hour because I have to get back to work fast to get that video done. And, oh yeah, I forgot to say, along with the video, there's a very, very good chance that we're also, at the end of March, going to release the Steam store page. Which doesn't mean you can buy the game. You can't buy the game yet, but it does mean that you'll be able to wishlist it, which is awesome because you wishlist it and it keeps you up to date on what's going on. Like when we add new stuff or when we post stuff on Steam, you'll get a notification in Steam and whatnot. Not a notification, but it'll let you know. Hi, Kubiak. How's it going? An interview about yourselves of the game? I don't understand what your question is, Red Moon. Are you asking me if somebody interviews us? I can't use Castle Story on my PC. Oof. If you need help with Castle Story, I mean, you can ask me in the chat, but if I don't answer you, it's not because I don't want to help you. It's because I didn't see your message. But the best place to get help for Castle Story is on the Castle Story Discord right here, discord.gg/Castle Story. So if you use Discord, join the Castle Story Discord. If you don't want to do that, you can also contact us on support.castlestory.net. You will also get some help there. My bad. You will make a video like one day at Surfbot Studios dev when Mirador will release. We'll be making lots of Mirador and Surfbot Studio videos when Mirador releases, hopefully. There's a lot of things that are going to happen when Mirador releases. Mirador is going to be, hopefully what we want is that Mirador is going to be a game that's always alive. So it's a game that we're always going to update as often as we can, and there's always going to be new content that we add to the game for you guys to find and whatnot. Because as you know, as we've said or we've teased, Mirador is going to be a game heavily focused around the notion of boss fights. So boss fights is one of the things you're going to be doing a lot in Mirador. So think about games like Titan Souls, games like Cuphead, games like Fury, games like that, where pretty much almost everything you're doing is fighting bosses and killing really hard, satisfying creatures, you know, like learning their patterns and dodging and attacking and stuff like that. But there's another aspect to Mirador. Because we're Swordbot Studio, we can't just do a game that everybody else has already done. We have to always add something completely crazy just because that's how we do it. So there's going to be something about these bosses that is pretty special. Dark Souls is an inspiration as well. Yes, Red Moon. There's something about these bosses, and you're going to find out in the upcoming video that we're going to be posting in a week or a week and a half or so. It's going to be pretty awesome. Do you think that there's going to be custom content like user-making bosses for Mirador? That'll be really cool and extend the lifespan of the game. I can't tell you yet, Cyan, but I can't believe you said that, but I can't tell you yet. The bosses one-shot you? Some of the bosses might one-shot you, maybe. Maybe some of the abilities will be made in a way that they're really strong. Every boss will throw bricks at you. Some bosses will throw things at you, yes. Some of the bosses, one of the abilities is really cool. The boss just does this, and then there's this giant lance that just flies towards you, and if it hits you, it does a lot of damage, and if it doesn't hit you, it just plants into the ground. It's really awesome. Will there be any Easter eggs in Mirador? Probably. I'm not too sure. I don't know what to tell you about that. Just wondering, have you considered releasing on the Epic Game Store? If yes, why did you choose against it? Just wondering, because most games now go for Epic Launcher, and most games do not go for Epic Launcher. In 2018, there was something like 10,000 something games that released on Steam. There's a ridiculous amount of games that release on Steam every year. And right now, we are only going to be launching on Steam for now. That's the plan right now, is Steam. If Epic Game comes in, like right now at the same time, we're also looking for maybe potential publishers to help us out with marketing and maybe help us out with money as well, so we can perhaps develop the game a little longer. If Epic gets in touch with us, we'll see. But for now, our plan is Steam. We're also developing using Steam's interface, and like some of Steam's features are used in Mirador. Like, I can't tell you that yet. I was gonna say like something, but I can't tell you yet. But right now we're planning on Steam. That doesn't mean it's not gonna change before the game launches. But for now, we're planning on Steam. Maybe something will change, but we're not planning on it. Once we release the game, depending on the kind of support that we get, we would very, very much like to release the game on other platforms as well, like the Epic Game Store, like Discord Game Store, like the Switch consoles, Xbox, PlayStation, etc. But for now, it's gonna be only on Steam when we launch. That's the current plan. My friend bought Castle Story this week. Yay, thank you. Workshop? I don't think we're gonna have workshop for Mirador because it doesn't work. Maybe there'll be mods, but we're not counting on mods for Mirador because that's not how the game is gonna work. I can't tell you just yet, but with the next video it'll be a little more clear. There's Just me saying that there won't be mods doesn't mean that there won't be player-made content. I admit Switch would be a sweet platform. It really would. I think Murder would work very well on a Switch. Right now, we're pretty much like working with a controller. So the game is going to be heavily controller recommended. So if you have like an Xbox controller, definitely plug that in to play Murder because it feels so good to play with a controller. So it would definitely work with a Switch. You should make an Easter egg room that's hard to find with a Bertrand statue in it. Hi, Michael. How's it going? A map maker like Castle Story? That's not planned, but it could happen. It could happen post-launch. Let me boot up Castle Story while we're chatting. All right. This stream answers insanely many questions about Mirador. This is nothing. I'm still avoiding a lot of answers. The upcoming video that's going to be up next week, that's what you don't want to miss. Do not miss the video that we're posting in a week or a week and a half or so. With keyboard, it will be harder to play. It's hard to tell. I haven't had the opportunity to test with a keyboard yet, but you know how some games just feel better with a controller? Mirador is definitely going to be one of those games. We're going to ship on PC, so we definitely want to support keyboard and mouse. You will definitely be able to play with a keyboard and a mouse, but it might be nicer. It might feel more comfortable to play with a controller, because with a controller, you've got like infinite directions that you can go in, you know, like any direction you can go. But with the keyboard, you can only go either up, down, left, right, or like up, left, up, right, up, down, like down, left, down, right, which is like 8 directions. But with a joystick, you can go pretty much any angle you want. You can rotate in any direction you want. But I'm not a game designer, so I don't want to delve too deep into that. But you'll see. Maybe there could be a Bertrand blacksmith, but he wears armor all the time. You have to get it into. What are you talking about, Peter Plays? And it is a top-down game, so like Dark Souls, you can rotate with the mouse, and it makes more sense. Maybe in Murder we'll explore like rotating with the mouse, but right now we haven't really delved that much into keyboard and mouse. But we'll definitely support keyboard and mouse, that's for sure. Hello, the Trash Man. Thank you. It is indeed a beard. Yes, that is a correct observation. Hold on, my OBS is set to record Mirador. I need to make it record Gallery. There you go. Ooh, let me put on some nice little music there. Maybe not that much music. I'm just gonna like boot up some single player, just some sandbox, and just like sandbox and chill. Maybe let's go. I don't want winter anymore. I'm so sick and tired of winter. I'm gonna like, I'm so sick of winter, guys. I'm so happy that it's spring. Although there's still like 6 feet of snow everywhere here in Canada, but I'm like my heart is aching in frustration at the existence of snow, so I don't want to see snow. I'm just gonna play Riverlands. Riverain. Over shoulder is used often, and top down is nice for this type of game. It is. I need to save money for Mirador and also a joystick now. Mirador, the price point that we're exploring for Mirador right now is not gonna be very expensive to get into. It's actually gonna be most likely, I'm not confirming this, but what we're exploring right now is that it's going to be pretty cheap. Basically a mistake, well, it's not really a mistake, but something that happened with Castle Story is that right now we can't support Castle Story anymore because it doesn't make money anymore. And the reason it doesn't make money anymore, well, one of the reasons is because a lot of people bought it like 5 years ago, so we used that money to develop for 5 years. But most people that were going to buy the game already bought it. And at this point, they have no way to support us anymore. Even if they wanted to, all they can do isn't really that attractive. Like they can buy the OST, which is cool, but they can't like buy themselves stuff. Like if we had released maybe DLC for Castle Story, people would be able to buy DLC and it would be like, I don't know, like a bunch of official maps or something like that. We didn't want to do that because we know some people aren't very happy about the fact. Like, some people think Castle Story isn't totally complete in their opinion, so releasing more content that is paid for Castle Story would probably upset some people, so we didn't want to do that. So we just bit the bullet and we released all updates for Castle Story free and everything. But for Mirador, we're trying to look for a way to make it so a lot of people play at the start. And then if you really like the game and you keep playing and you want more stuff, then you can potentially buy more stuff. I don't have details on how this is going to work, whether it's going to be like DLC packs or items that you can buy individually, or like currency that you can buy and then unlock, or something I really like. I really like how Overwatch does their monetization, their business model, but unfortunately that's not really an option anymore. Like loot boxes, Overwatch has it where you can buy credits and then, you can buy loot boxes. I don't think you can buy credits in Overwatch. You can only buy loot boxes, and loot boxes give you items and sometimes credit. Loot boxes are a big no-no. We don't plan on having loot boxes in Mirador. And if we put some sort of something that's kind of like loot boxes, it's probably not going to be something that you buy. That is not something we're planning. Loot boxes is like no for us. Like there's laws coming up against it and people don't like loot boxes, and it's kind of like gambling, which we don't like. A lot of our players are young and we don't want our players to feel like to be tempted to gamble on our game just so we can make money. That's really not the kind of developers we are. But we want Mirador to be a game that we constantly update, that we constantly like, maybe every week, maybe every month. We don't really know yet. But yeah, we want it to be a game that we update very frequently and we add content to it, run events and stuff like that. Like a game that feels alive, a game that feels like you can get on it every day, every week, and there's always something new happening. But in order to do that, we need money, because we can't pay our programmers and our artists if we don't have money. That's just the reality of things. We're not exactly a very rich studio. So to do that, we need to think of ways where, okay, you can buy the game and get into it, but afterwards, if you want to, you don't have to, and we're definitely not gonna like force anybody to, but afterwards, if you want to, if you can buy more stuff to support us and to get more stuff for you as well. We don't want the game to be pay to win. We don't want you to feel like if you don't buy the game, you're missing out on stuff. That's definitely not how we're going for it. Actually, we really want to make it so anything that's in the game you can get without buying, of course. Like if you don't mind just grinding a little more, you can pretty much get everything. And we're not going for like the sort of mobile free-to-play games where you like, how am I going to say this? Where you like, if you don't like pay money, you can only play for a certain amount of time and then it completely blocks you and then you have to come back like 6 hours later, or it slows down a lot what you get. That's really not what we're doing. Would it be cosmetics or only content? I can't elaborate on that. We're not totally sure yet. We're really not sure yet. Let me catch up on the chat. Subnautica like price? I have no idea what Subnautica costs. Like, I can't give you like a specific price right now, but basically the idea is that we're gonna make the game. That's what we're thinking of right now. That might change, but basically making the game pretty cheap, like even by indie standards cheap. So anybody that wants to buy the game can still buy it. It's like price isn't going to be like a big barrier. We don't want it to be free to play because we want to avoid all the hackers and all the headaches. And if we make it free to play and our business model doesn't work, which could happen because this is like the first time we would do that. Let's suppose that we decide, okay, we're going to do like DLCs for Mirador. And so we give the game for free, but you can buy DLCs. If DLCs don't work, then we just spent like 2 years working on a game and we made like $0 and we just shut down the studio. So that's very risky for us as an indie studio. So instead, we could set the price to something very low, like maybe $10, maybe $15. And then people buy it because it's cheap and it looks like a fun game, and it is a fun game. So at least we got that $10 or $15 from people. So at least we made some money, even if later on nobody cares about the DLCs or whatever, cosmetics or items or whatever it is that you can buy. We haven't decided yet, or DLCs or whatever. Even if nobody cares about those, it's okay because people still gave us a little bit of money. We still made a little bit of income from the game, even if the business model doesn't work. And then we can change the business model. We can be like, okay, I guess people just don't really care about DLCs. We just don't do DLCs. So it's like a new thing we're exploring. It's new for us, so we have to be careful about how we do it. So that's the idea. We make the price very affordable, so anybody that wants it pretty much can. Almost anybody. I mean, if you have literally no money at all, there's not much I can do. We'll probably do some giveaways and whatnot every now and then. But then later on, after you've bought the game for pretty cheap, if you want to further support us because you think, hey, you know what? They just sold me this game for $10, but I've played it for like 20 hours and I think it's worth more than that. I want to support Surpass Studio. I want them to keep making content. Maybe you can go buy a DLC for like, I don't know, for like $4 or something. And that DLC has like cosmetics and like spells or whatever. I'm just like improvising right now. That's not what we're actually planning. It could be, it could not be. We haven't perfectly defined how this is going to go. Then you can do that and you don't feel like you're just wasting all your money because you got the game for pretty cheap. And those items that you would buy in a DLC, you could still find them just by playing the game. It's just like, let's say I'm completely improvising. I'm going to say like a completely ridiculous thing so you don't think this is actually what we're planning. But let's say there's this giant spatula in the game that when you smack a boss with it, the boss turns into a pancake. Obviously, this is not a real thing in the game. But let's say maybe you kill bosses and after you've killed a bunch of bosses, you get a chest. Also not planned. I'm literally improvising. You get a chest and in that chest, you could find that spatula. Or maybe Surpass Studio just released an update with that spatula and you're like, oh, that looks really cool. Maybe I'll go buy a DLC that contains this spatula instead of just grinding until I get lucky and find it. For example, that's the kind of ideas we're looking for. In order, specifically because we want to be able to continue generating revenue in order to continue updating the game and adding content to it. And like I said, it's a new thing for us. Castle Story is a buy once and play it forever game. And it's more expensive. You know, it's like $20, $25. So that's why we're trying something different. We'll see how it works. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll work super good and nice. You know, we can hire more people and add a ton of more content super quickly. Or maybe it won't work at all. Maybe people won't really care about the DLCs and whatnot. I'm saying DLCs, but it might be like microtransactions or items or whatever. And in that case, we'll look into it and we'll adapt and adjust. But yeah, like I said, it's a new thing. But I think what we currently have in mind, like the avenue that we're exploring right now, I really like because it doesn't force anybody to pay anything besides the original price that you pay the game. But if you do, it doesn't feel like you need to pay too much to get good stuff, if that makes sense. It feels like a lot of times games that you buy that are maybe free to play or whatever, you have to spend a lot of money to get the cool stuff, if that makes sense. It's probably going to be more than $10, less than $60. Most definitely, almost definitely less than $60. It's going to be an indie game, so we can't really allow ourselves to price it at $60. At least that's definitely not what we're planning right now. I think he means the game will maybe sustain itself with unlockable stuff you could just buy to do faster. For example, that's a pretty good example of the kind of business model that I'm talking about. But whatever it is that we do, we're Surpass Studio. You guys know us pretty well, and we don't want it to be scummy. You know, we don't want you to feel like we just want your money. You know, it's gonna be about making the game fun because that's just what we do. That's just how we've always been. Can you assess the readiness of the game? 20%, 40%. Okay, so that's the thing. Like I said, Mirador is going to be a game that we want to add content to constantly and continuously and like pretty much forever. As long as there's people playing the game and buying the game and supporting us, we want to keep adding content to it. But let's say we have a scope. We know that at a certain date, we already know the date. We know that at that date, we want to release the game. And we want the game to look like this. So this, like the scope of the game, the how we want the game, the amount of features that we want in the game when we release it, because once again, we're going to release more features after we release the game, is about, I would say, this is a really rough guess, but I would say maybe 70-ish% done. 70% done. What I imagine the game to be like in like maybe 2 years after we release the game, I would say about maybe 40% done. There's just so much potential for that game. It's like infinite potential. Warframe microtransactions are really respectful. Do you know about them? Not really. I haven't played Warframe. I know our 3D artist plays it, but I will check it out. I will check it out. Has to be an Easter egg, the spatula thing. How long did it take you to develop the new upcoming game? We started like thinking about it a long time ago, actually. I'd say we actually had programmers, like maybe 1 or 2 people only working on it. About, I want to say mid 2018, early 2018-ish. So like maybe a year and a half so far, approximately. Spanish balcony. Mirador actually means some. Mirador is like a sort of not a guard tower, but like an observation tower. So yes, that could mean that. Are there settings for difficulties? No, but the game is gonna calculate. Is gonna have an algorithm that decides what difficulty it gives you depending on how good you are. At least that's how we're looking into it right now. Percentages are weird because they don't convey scale. Precisely, yes. That's why I was having a hard time with that. I need to make a furnace. I'm like paying almost zero attention to the game right now. Let's get some plant fibers here. I really don't know anything about the game. Is it like a dungeon level game? Most people don't know much about the game, but if you subscribe to us on YouTube, we're going to be posting a pretty big video in about a week or a week and a half. Let me catch up on the YouTube chat a little bit. With controls on a keyboard and mouse, you can make it so that the orientation of the screen changes the direction you move by turning it around with the mouse. That's maybe a possibility we'll look into. My username was Mr. Poopy before. Maybe you remember me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to. DLCs with custom cosmetics. There's probably going to be cosmetics. There's most likely also going to be non-cosmetics. But the idea, like I said, is not to make it pay to win. There's going to be some competition between players, but the competition is going to be asynchronous. Hey, thank you so much for the follow. The competition is going to be like wait, why is it playing twice? I just realized. I'm not sure. The competition isn't going to be like you and a player and you're fighting each other right there, right now. And like this guy obviously paid money for his big Sword of Doom. So I feel like I got ripped off because this game sucks and this guy paid money to win. Definitely not going to be like that. Absolutely not. Hello, Cesaric. I don't like the idea of paying for updates because everyone should be able to download the updates. Things like DLC maps are better. Skinner, I understand that, but you have to understand that games cost money to make. If everything could be free all the time, life would be amazing, but that's just not the reality of how life works, unfortunately. Like, we have to make some money to be able to keep updating a game. That's just how life is, pretty much. Can I ask who made the voxel terrain scripting in Calcer? Yes, that would be Benoit, I think. Mirador when? There's no release date for Mirador yet, I'm sorry. Sounds like it's going to be a game that'll be able to be played continually, just like Castle? Is that something we can assume? I'm not sure. I don't understand your question, Propel Jesus. Hello, Cesaric. Mirador is a seasoning here in Switzerland. So every time you say Mirador, I'm a little bit confused because is it really? No, I kind of want someone from Switzerland to mail us a pack of that seasoning. I think when you're fighting other players, it should be like he's better than you because he's wearing a cool hat. I need to fight. You won't actually be fighting other players. You will not be fighting other players. I can tell you officially, okay? I think you guys already know because of that really popular GIF that we posted last week. But just in case you don't know, Mirador is going to have multiplayer. Mirador is going to be an online game. You don't have to play it with other people. You will be able to play it solo if you want to. But Mirador is going to be like online. Like if you want to invite your friends to play co-op with you, you can. And maybe even more than one friend. Dark Souls like multiplayer? Isn't multiplayer in Dark? No. Like the online and multiplayer in Mirador is going to be co-op. At least on launch is going to be purely co-op. So there won't be There won't be like direct PvP, but there will be some competition between players. How demanding is the game hardware-wise? So right now, that's an excellent question. I don't know. I haven't tested the game on lower-end machines, but it's not going to be nowhere as bad as Castle Story. Castle Story has so much going on, and there's so much physics and all that kind of stuff. Mirador is a pretty self-contained game, which is a huge plus for performance. But I can't tell you that just yet. We want as many people as possible to be able to play Mirador, so we're gonna be working on supporting as much hardware as we can. You know what? When I'm in Montreal, I personally will bring you the seasoning Mirador. Nice. What can you tell us about the loot? Oof. Not much. Not much. I can tell you that you will get loot from boss fights, but not only from boss fights. I can tell you that the loot, some of the loot you're going to use to make yourself stronger. Of course, that's what loot is. But some of the loot you're going to use not to make yourself stronger. How do developers even figure out the specs required for a game? Honestly, with a lot of difficulty. We just try to find the shittiest computer we can find and we test it. I swear to God, we're lucky because I have like a bunch of laptops of different like strength. I don't know if there's any like other more scientific way, but so far that's what's worked for us. Hello, student Gary Smith. Sorry, what I mean is when we play the game, will it be a campaign that you can play for a specific length or something you can play forever like Castle? It will not be a campaign that you play for a specific length. It is not a story-based game. It's a game that, Mirador is going to be a game that you can play as much as you want. And the content is most likely going to be nearly infinite. As in every day there's going to be things being added to the game, sort of, kind of. It's hard to tell. It depends on how many people actually get the game. No cussing on Christian Minecraft servers. Sorry. Sorry, I did cuss. What am I even doing? I just like zone out while I'm talking to you guys. I did nothing. That's ugly. What am I doing? Why did I build a box around my crystal? Let me let me make a nice little tower while I'm waiting for you guys to ask questions that I probably can't answer. Hold on a second here. Bow, ba-da-bow. Huh. Am I doing this right? I am not doing this right at all. It seems similar to Enter the Gungeon. Do you know about it? I do know about Enter the Gungeon. It's not really a twin stick shooter. Not really. I'm from Russia and we have $1 equals 63 rubles. I still need to save money. It's probably gonna. I can't promise, but I think we usually adjust the price per region. Like we know that the economy in Russia is different from like Canada or the US. That's why Castle Story is actually cheaper in Russia, because you know would rather you guys be able to actually afford the game and play it than just not play it at all because you can't afford it. Because like $25 in the US is the equivalent of a lot more in Russia, for example. Like we understand that. So we'll most likely look into ways to not let that affect you guys. Is it related to the twist that the loot isn't just for you? What? If you add the skin for rich ones and make it for a little piece and people won't buy it. Now people are gonna move to Russia to buy your games? Jeez, man. If you move, that's gonna cost a lot more than just buying the game wherever you are. You're just hyping me up more now? Good, good. Is Mirador the Binding of Isaac and better? I love the Binding of Isaac. It's not like the Binding of Isaac, no. The Binding of Isaac is like... how can I say? It's like a roguelike... It's a roguelike... how do you describe the Binding of Isaac? I don't know. It's like a roguelike dungeon crawler kind of thing. That's not really what Mirador is going to be. Mirador is, however, going to be a roguelite. Officially, we're allowed to call it a roguelite. Because when you die in Mirador, the way we're looking at it right now is that you're going to lose some progress that you've made so far. So you have to decide, do I want to keep going to get better stuff? Or do I not want to risk it because the stuff I have right now is too good and I'm just going to stop here? Sort of, kind of, I don't want to reveal too much. You know the big twist secret you can't tell us about? You're going to find out in a week and a half, Matthew. Ish. How many games do you own privately as a developer? I don't understand that question, Red Moon. It sounds like Gungeon, but with Dark Souls combat. I wouldn't say it's Dark Souls combat. Dark Souls doesn't have a lot of magic in it. Mirador has a lot of magic in it. I want to know now. I know you want to know now. I know. Let's just say you're going to be fighting a lot of bosses. And there's only 20 of us in the studio. Our character's only mice. That's not a mouse. That's a dog. We think that we want to... We're working on another character that's not a dog. Which you'll see in the next video. But I think we're only going to have 2 different characters. 2 different like animals on the launch version. Also, the characters, it doesn't matter what you choose. It's only going to be visual, at least for now. It's not going to be like the dog is a class and the other animal is in another class. It's just going to be which animal do you like best, and then depending on what gear you put on it, that's what's going to be different. And I just revealed something I didn't want to. How many games do you own on Steam outside? Oh, on my personal Steam account? Jesus, let me see. I know it's too much. 561 games on Steam on my personal account. That's absolutely ridiculous. I was gonna think like 200 something, but no, it's 561. But I own like some games on like Origin and Epic Games and Discord and whatnot too. To be fair, a lot of those games I get for free from other developers that just give me their games. Yes, too many games. I must have played maybe 20% of them. Is the dog a good boy or a good girl? Neither. The dog is whatever you want it. Our characters in all of our games are non-gendered. Whatever you want them to be. It's gonna be a fox? Maybe. Maybe not. You'll find out in a week and a half. So many answers in a week and a half in that video. Ooh, Spiggle, you got yourself stuck up there, buddy. I'm stealing your account. You could probably make a bunch of animals that you can buy access to. That would be a pretty good example, sign of something we could sell. Like different animal skins. Like if people really want to be a panda, maybe we'll release the panda DLC where you buy the panda and instead of a sword, he uses a bamboo stick or something like that. That's a good example. But that's just cosmetics. We still don't know if it's going to be purely cosmetics or if you can like maybe buy certain abilities or whatever. But even if you can buy certain abilities, the idea is that you're not going to be fighting against other players. So it's not like pay to win. There's lots of questions that we have even right now that we can't answer yet. But just trust us that we're going to make a lot of effort to not be like pay to win or whatever. Will there be differences in how different weapons play? Like from the sneak peek, I see the guy using a sword. Will there be long swords, spears, or different weapons, aka spatulas? On launch, I think we're gonna go. I think we have to reduce our scope. We have to make sure we have something that we can ship for an affordable price at a pretty reasonable speed. So on launch, we're probably only gonna have, like the typical melee hack and slash. However, it's not the only thing you're going to be able to use in your fights. You're going to be able to use different things, and those, potentially, you can change those. Is there a lot of bugs in the current versions of Mirador? There's an infinite amount of bugs in the current version of Mirador. Yes, there are lots of bugs, of course. It's still heavily in development. Please add a hedgehog. Ah, a hedgehog character would be so cute. I want a panda. I want to buy this DLC now. It probably should be purely cosmetic. Sion, it's not that easy. Like usually it's easy to say, cosmetic DLC doesn't matter, doesn't affect us. But the truth is that in the way that Murder is gonna be shaped, the things, if you can buy stuff, the things you're gonna want to buy cosmetics for sure to make things look cool. But probably also gonna be interested in buying non-cosmetics things just so you can like use them quicker. Like if we release something and you're like, oh, that is really cool, I kind of want it right now and I can afford the whatever $3 DLC that it would cost, then I can buy it. And the thing is, even if Murder is going to be online, it's not really going to affect it's not going to affect other players negatively. That's what we're aiming for, which is cool, which allows us to consider selling things that are not only cosmetics. I want a Bertrand. Oh my god, a Bertrand character would actually be pretty cool. That's a lot of games. It is a lot of games. Weird question. Did you see the new How to Train? I only saw the first How to Train Your Dragon. I loved it. I loved the first How to Train Your Dragon. A dinosaur-like character. People think the dog is a dinosaur a lot in the GIFs that I post. Oof, I have lots of iron ingots. What should I do? I made some glass for those. I should probably continue building the tower. You guys are just completely distracting me. It's fine though. Bow, ba-dum, bow. Ba-ba-dum, ba-dum, bow, 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 ba-da-dum, bow, ba-dum, bow. Ba-dum, 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 bow, 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 bow. Do. It's kind of exciting talking to you guys about Murder. Copy your floors. Oh, I could. You're right. I forgot. You should watch the new How to Train Your Dragon. They've become, let's say, a bit more mature. Ooh. You need to make your you need to make your own version of the music with your own voice. That would be funny. An April's Fool OST. The whole Castle Story track hummed by Shatajon. I wish there was a bit of furniture in this game. I agree, Peter. It's something we really wanted to add. It was like on our list, but unfortunately it didn't come through. Your Bertrand can't place the top thing of your crystal on the building? Yes, they should be able to. Oh. Dang it. You're right. Ugh. Huh. Okay, well, I guess for now, we're gonna put some temporary stairs like this. No, hold on. Maybe like this. And then some here as well. And then we'll delete them. That's the easy solution. That's the lazy solution. Will Magic be like Magicka, where you can create your own spells by combining elements? Or more of a fixed ability system? I can't answer that yet. Propul Jesus, I'm sorry. I can't answer that yet. Hello, 103683E. Shatajon, what should I do? YouTube viewers, tell us everything you know about Murder. What? Oh. I get it. Will you show another sneak peek for us? Yes. Yes, I will. You guys want to see like a sneak peek today, you mean? Or you mean like before the next video? Because there's probably going to be a sneak peek before the next video. Is that what you mean? Today? What do you mean today? I don't have a sneak peek for you ready today. Just like that. I can't just come up with a sneak peek like that. What do you mean? Oh, my Bertrands need to dig more. The sneak peeks, they go on Discord and on Twitter and stuff. You guys are greedy. Today, like a sneak peek of a sneak peek. Oh, jeez. You guys. I mean, I can show you a sneak. I can show you tomorrow's sneak peek, I guess, or Saturday's sneak peek. Maybe. Maybe. I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't. Because it's not finished. Just show us 1 pixel of a new Mirador image. Bring in your manager and bring us your content. I am the manager. I'm the one that decides these things. I'm trying to convince myself not to. I don't want to spoil these things for you guys. Wouldn't you rather wait until it's nice and pretty and complete tomorrow or Saturday? Because that's when we usually post the sneak peeks. Alright. You know what? Fine. If you guys are really nice, I'll show you the unfinished sneak peek of this weekend. Deal? But you gotta be nice. Everybody has to say, I love Mirador in the chat. And if there's... Let me see. If there's a... Let me see what's a reasonable number. There has to be... I didn't really advertise the stream that much today. The Steam events thing wasn't working. There has to be 15 of you that say I love Mirador in the chat, and I will show you the sneak peek early. You have to say I love Mirador in the chat. 15 different people say that, and I'll do it. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, no deal. No deal. All right, let me see. One, we need a sneak peek to see what's inside a sneak peek of Mirador. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, don't say it more than once. That's cheating. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Sorry, 13 is not good enough. I'm sorry. Did you get Stugs in yet? No, sorry. No can do. Go on this. Go tell your friends to come on here and say it. Go bring your friends over to the stream. If the entire game is just that one sneak peek from this card, I'll still love it. Oh man, it is a lot more than that. There's not a lot of people. Hi, Linus. Okay, let's try this again. Okay? When I say go, everybody type I love Mirador in the chat, and I'll show you guys something really cool. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. All right, now let's see if it's going to be 15. 1. Hi, Jet63. Will there be any paid DLC for Calster? I was just talking about that. We're not planning on doing that. No, I think that would probably piss people off a lot more than do us any good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14! Just one more. Jets, say you love Mirador in chat, even if it's not true. Say it. Although I know it's true, Jets. I know you love Castle Story, but I'm sure you love Mirador too. Alright, let me get rid of those lower stairs. No, there's just one more we need. Go get your friends in here, guys. Go tell your friends to come on here. Oh, Cyan still hasn't said it. Guys, it's all in the hands of Cyan, whether you get a sneak peek early or not. I don't know if I should say it for the fans or not say it for the devs. Even if you say it, I'm not gonna. It doesn't bother me to show you guys a sneak peek a little early. I just like to tease you. You can't defeat me, chat. We know, but we can. If Virtrons were to need to eat only one type of fruit or vegetable, what would it be? Probably moss, because they're made out of rock. Oh, Venom saved the day. All right. I'm gonna stop being mean. Hold on. Why are they not building this? Because they can't reach. Ah, there's the windows. To the window. Even if I do that, though, that will not fix it. That will likely not fix the issue. Unless it does. I don't think it will. But we'll see. Alright. I can show you next weekend. The next sneak peek. So, like this weekend is... I'm going to show you guys the a little bit of the UI. Because it's really sexy. It's like so sexy. And like when you use some of the abilities in Mirador... They're going to be like, you're going to have charges. Like, for example, since it's going to be boss fights, you're going to be able to dash, but you can't just dash forever. Because if you dash forever, then the boss can never hit you, right? So there's going to be charges. So when you use them, we have to show you how many charges you have left in the UI. And it is so sexy. Like, oh my God. Like, when I saw it, I was like, that is definitely going to be a sneak peek. Even though it's just a little piece of UI. But the video isn't done. It's kind of ugly, which is why I didn't want to show you yet. But it's okay. It's only you guys, you streamers, aka my favorite people from the community, the people who watch the streams. Hold on, I need to make it repeat. All right, check this out, and I dare you to tell me this isn't sexy as heck. All right, are you ready? No screenshots. No screenshots. Look at that! It's so satisfying. When you use it, it goes poo, poo, poo. And then it recharges like that. That is so sexy. Damn! I love our artists. Have you ever heard of dreams? Yeah? That happens like when you're sleeping and stuff? Is that what you mean? I don't think that's what you mean, but that's the dreams I know of. Yeah, our artists are like unreal. Wait, that's Tracer's Blink, but it does feel like Tracer's Blink, doesn't it? I actually thought about that when I saw it too. I thought that too. It is pretty sexy like Tracer's Blink, yes. Lots of like awesome like sparkly effects like that in the game. I love it. Like the whole 3D but pixel art kind of style that we're going for. I love that so much. I think it looks so awesome. What happens if I tell this guy to jump off on a window? Oof. Okay, that happens. My bad. My bad, Pesto. I didn't mean to do that. Hey, you go up there. Maybe we can like manually make them build this. Dreams is a game that the Little Big Planet folks are making. Oh, I didn't see that yet. I haven't seen that, no. Now you're stuck, aren't you? Maybe I can... Hey, you there. Come here, Pesto. Help him out. Let's go. We're gonna make y'all build this. We're gonna make you build this. Tower brick by brick. It don't matter brick by brick. I should be a songwriter, guys. I really should be a songwriter. Hey, come on now, jump. Wait, they won't jump anymore. Are you scared? Don't be scared. There you go. You're not scared. You're a brave Virtrons. Virtrons are never scared. You there. I want you to go there. No, pick this up. I really built those windows in a very bad way, and now my Virtrons can't really get there. So I'm having to micromanage them, unfortunately. There you go. Now we're talking. Come on, jump off. You got this. Yes. No, don't jump off there. Oh, there you go. Now they don't need my help anymore, I think. Oh yeah, they don't need my help anymore. All right. Now, okay, hold on. I gotta catch up on the chat. Brain Payable DLC counselor for the what? There's this theory on Reddit that Ant-Man will be the one defeating Thanos in Endgame. I don't want to know how as a trash man. Don't spoil it for me. Now comes the master question. What can you tell us about Mirador right now? Like everything. Pretty much everything I can tell you, I've already been telling you. You're so efficient with them? Yeah, I'm used to them. Is Mirador going to be made with Unity? Yes. And if it is, what render pipeline does it use? I have no idea, Skinner. I'm not a programmer. I couldn't... If you post that question on the Discord, I can get a programmer to answer you. Then you gotta check it out. I will check out Dreams by the Little Big Planet people. Xenia is one of my 15 Bertrand's names. Did I miss any Mirador reveals? Oh my god, Linus. You definitely want to rewatch the whole stream, the whole playback. It's only 1 hour stream today. I'm about to end it in like 10 minutes. But yes, you missed some stuff. I answered a lot of questions. The most important thing that you don't want to miss though, Linus, is that in about a week or a week and a half, like next Friday, not tomorrow, but the Friday afterwards, or maybe Saturday after that, like end of March, we're going to be posting a video on YouTube, a Mirador video. You definitely don't want to miss that, so be sure you subscribe, turn on notifications and all that. What do you think about PewDiePie? I don't really watch PewDiePie. He's not my my kind of YouTuber. He seems like a nice guy. Finish this tower before the stream is over. I'll try. I can already build on it. Now they can actually reach the top parts. How am I gonna do this? I think actually instead of putting these here, no, wait, Bricktron, wait, Mr. Bricktroon, maybe we can do something like this and then put some planks here. Oof! Of course that don't work. I can't do it like that. How am I gonna do it then? We're gonna need one here. Actually, let's put one here and one here. But then this one here is gonna be a little tricky. A little tricky. I guess we're gonna need to have one here too. Oh well, it's not a big deal. It'll work, I think. I like to believe that this will work. Please work. Oh hey, I think it actually... Ah! No! So close, yet so far. Darn. It's okay, we'll just cheat it and put one here. The Brooktrons won't know any better. Boom, there we go. Excellent. That's exactly what I was planning right from the start anyways, so it's all good. Let's put one... Oh wait, I have to put half bricks here. This there, there. And then we're gonna put this here, this there. Oof. This here, and a smaller one there. Okay. Oof. Missing this. There you go. Excellent. Excellent. I love eggs. I don't know about you guys, but I am a big fan of eggs. I think this will still let him... I'm not sure if this will work. We'll see. Woo! Do any Sauropod developers have the... What? I'm not too sure. That's kind of a dumb question, Sign. Are you subscribed to PewDiePie? I don't think so. Since the maps are handcrafted, how often will you have to replay maps? Do you mean in Mirador? The maps might not matter that much. So, I don't think the amount of maps that will be in the game will negatively affect your gameplay. If we add more, it might be a positive, but if there's not a huge amount, it's not going to be negative, if that makes sense. Will Murdor have a similar art scheme across the full game, or many different schemes across different areas, levels, whatever? Different areas will look different, as if like you're in different parts of a planet kind of thing. Is Murdor... Will there be a secret Corruptron boss that is the boss / creator of the Corruptrons? Maybe. Maps, not a world? Murdor will not be open world. It won't be a big open world that you just go everywhere and explore. It won't be like that. It'll be more focused. It's very, very, very combat oriented. It's like half of the time you're either going to be fighting bosses or doing the other special thing. Hi, Patrick. All right, you guys, you have 5 minutes left to ask me all the questions you want. And then it is the end of today's stream. Since I love you guys, I'm going to give you another sneak peek. It's not going to be sneak peek, though. It's going to be a sneak something else. Okay, everybody pick a number between 1 and 6. Pick a number between 1 and 6. How does the camera work in Murdor? You don't need to control the camera in Murdor. Since it's a top-down hack and slash, it just follows your character around. 4. Okay, 4 came out first. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, it's one of my favorite too. Nice. All right, hold on. Do I not have VLC installed on here? While I answer questions. Oof, hold on a second, guys. Give me a second here. You guys chose the right one. Number 4 is definitely a good choice. All right, ask me questions now. Will there be any form of crafting? We're thinking about a certain form of crafting. If Murdor contains any doors or mirrors, I will throw all Corruptrons I ever meet into the dark, empty abyss that is your beard. Will the other special thing be revealed? Yes, very much so in the next video next week. It's like the punchline of the video. Age restriction? No. No, Murdor is gonna probably be like PG everyone. There's fight and like cartoon violence, but there's not gonna be anything sexual or gory or anything like that. Maybe gory, maybe gory. I don't think so. What you hear in the background right now is one of the many songs in the Murdor soundtrack. And something really awesome about the Murdor soundtrack is that it's going to be dynamic. It's going to like change dynamically as things happen in the game, which is pretty cool. So this is just like one of the combinations that you could hear. And this song is actually called, right now, it might change, but the codename of this song is Missing Home, which I think is very, very descriptive of the mood in Murdor that you feel. Will there be anything we don't know about Mirador after that video next week? You're gonna know like pretty much the concept of the game entirely, but there's still some things, like lots of features that even we aren't 100% sure of yet. I love this song. Like even after, like even right now, there's still lots of features that we're prototyping and thinking about that we don't know exactly how they're going to work, so we don't reveal those yet. Jets, I wish that was an option, man. I wish that was an option, but unfortunately right now it's financially, literally financially not an option for us. Maybe after Mirador it could happen, maybe. Was there going to be a player home? So as the player in Mirador isn't gonna have like a story, but it does have kind of a story that might be hinted throughout the game. But in Mirador, you're very, very far away from home. Very far away from home. You find a new home, a new place to kind of call your home, but it's not very comfortable. And you're very far away from home in Mirador. Mirador OST, there might be a Mirador OST because the music is so far, the music is excellent. And I'm like, we should definitely sell that as an OST. Like, I would buy that OST. But far away from home, that's sad. That's kind of the mood in Mirador of the. That's like the story that runs in the back of our head, is that you're very far. You did something that brought you very far, and now you're kind of trying to find your way back home, but you have to fight your way there. Sort of, kind of. You'll see. There's a bit of lore that's hinted in the video next week. I think you're gonna like it. Okay. Will Mirador be similar to Dark Souls, kind of combat-wise? And will there be ranged combat like bows or crossbows? For launch, it's gonna be when we launch, we think that the primary combat form will be melee. However, there will be ranged tools you can use to fight with. But maybe later on we'll be adding ranged combat and whatnot. But for now, it is time for me to wrap up the stream. It was very nice to talk to you guys about Mirador. After next week, like next week, not tomorrow, but the Friday afterwards or Saturday, like think 29th March, maybe 1st of April, although 1st of April would be a bad idea for that. No, not really. Maybe 1st of April-ish, around that period of time, there's going to be the reveal video of Mirador. And after that, we're going to be able to be a lot more open. There's not really going to be many secrets about Mirador. We're just going to let you know whatever we can let you know about Mirador. So we're going to be a lot more open about questions then. The reason I was open to answer questions today is specifically because next week we're posting that video. And yeah, I hope you're excited about Mirador. You really should be. It's coming along so nice. Keep in mind that the video we're going to be posting in a week and a half or so is going to have some development texture. I put a text at the bottom that says unfinished art and gameplay. Keep that in mind, you know? Don't judge us too hard. The textures on the ground aren't finished and stuff like that, and the levels are not complete. So keep that in mind. No, this is Castle Story music now. Jets, about modding, if you're interested in modding, check out the modding channel on the Castle Story Discord. There's a C# loader that somebody made that will let you pretty much mod everything in Castle Story. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you next Thursday. Actually, no, I forgot. Next stream is going to be Friday. Exceptionally, the next stream is going to be Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time instead of Thursday. Exceptionally, okay? Keep that in mind. Next stream, Friday. If you join the Castle Story Discord and the Mirador Discord, we'll let you know anyways. So, you know, might as well just join the Discords and you'll know whenever we stream. One last question. How is it to work at Sword Pass Studio? Honestly, I love it. I absolutely love it. Our administration team is, I'm not just saying that like to suck up, but our administration team is super understanding, super nice. Everybody's really friendly. It's hard. Working in video games in general is really hard, and it can be very taxing because gaming has lots of deadlines and whatnot, but that's just how it is in the gaming industry. But all in all, Sword Pass Studio, we we really don't want people to be miserable. Like, we take care of each other a lot, and if somebody needs some time off, they can take the time off that they need to come back. And that's something that happened to me recently, which I'm very thankful for, to be at Sir Patsito. I had a really rough month the last few weeks, and they were super understanding. That's why I'm actually home right now, because I've been working from home for a while. It is honestly awesome. If you're in Montreal and you're looking for work, definitely apply for Sir Patsito. It's a really, really good place to work. But I will see all of you next Friday. Okay? Exceptionally next Friday. And we're going to have some pretty awesome Murder stuff for you on that stream, I believe. So I will see you soon. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful end of your week.